Hey you guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name's Ruby, I live in New York City, and this is my lifestyle channel. So if you like what you see, please be sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. We are trying to reach 6K. That is the next goal here for this channel. I also post daily on TikTok, and as I'm filming this, we are like this close to hitting 17,000 followers. So if you want to go follow me on there for daily content, feel free to do that as well. It's been a hot minute since I've talked about this product on my channel, but you guys know it is one of my most prized possessions, and that is my Kindle Oasis. I've made quite a few videos talking about this. I've mentioned it in numerous videos, and actually to this day, one of my best performing videos is my video about my Kindle Oasis. I am a huge reader, which is why I invested in a Kindle. I believe I bought this a little over a year ago now. And like I said, I still love it. It is one of the best purchases that I have ever made. And with Black Friday coming up, with the holiday season coming up, I know that a lot of people are going to be either asking for a Kindle or looking to purchase one for themselves. And even though, like I said, I have a couple previous videos up on my channel about the Kindle Oasis, I still get a lot of questions about it. And a couple of you guys have even asked if I could kind of do like an updated review like 1 year later. Do I still think it's worth it? The answer to that is obviously yes. I love my Kindle Oasis. I think it is definitely like the superior model. If you can bite the bullet and make the investment, I think it is 150% worth it. And so in today's video, I thought we could talk about my top reasons as to why I love my Kindle Oasis. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. Now, just for your reference and so that you know, I have the 8GB Kindle Oasis. I will link it down below along with the case that I have. It's just like the basic Amazon one. You'll have to excuse the sirens. I feel like they're never ending. I've been trying to like wait until they go away, but it's been like 5 minutes and they're still blaring outside. It's one of the downsides of living in New York City. Filming can be a little tricky, but we're just gonna continue. Before diving into the actual Kindle, I do just want to touch on the case, because recently I got a comment asking if I feel like the case has held up, because apparently there's been some reviews that it's like kind of flimsy. I haven't had that issue at all. I've had the case for just as long as I've had the Kindle. I take this thing with me everywhere. It has definitely been thrown into many bags, and I still think it looks great. I haven't had any issues with like fraying or any bits of the fabric coming off. Like, it still looks like it's in perfect condition. The inside too is perfect, like no scratches. I'm definitely super happy with it. So now let's jump into the actual device itself, and let's just talk about my top reasons as to why I love this thing, because needless to say, I love it. I feel like I've said that enough. The first reason that I just love this thing so much is because of the battery life. Like I said, I read on this device a ton, and this thing like never dies. It takes forever to use the full battery on this. And honestly, the charging time on this doesn't really take that long either. I'll usually like just charge this overnight along with my iPhone, but I don't even charge this nightly. I would say I usually charge this like every week and a half, and I read for like a solid couple of hours basically every single night. And like I said, I've had this for a little bit over a year now. I haven't found that the battery life has changed at all. It still lasts for just as long as it did when I first got this. To save the battery life, just a little tip, unless I'm like actively downloading a book, like once I have the book in my Kindle library, I'll just put the Kindle on airplane mode. That way it's not using Wi-Fi at the same time, because honestly, like I said, once the book is downloaded, there's really no point in having the Wi-Fi turned on. But the battery life on this is just super impressive. It's great if you have like a long day of traveling, whether that be multiple flights or a road trip, or maybe you're just gonna be like in a waiting room for a really long time one day. You can count on this to like literally never die on you. Yesterday, I was running all sorts of errands in the city, and I had a lot of downtime in between or while I was waiting for like one of the things to be done. I brought my Kindle with me and used it all throughout the day in stores, on the subway. I was literally gone for like 6 hours, and this thing was totally fine. I got home and it was still at like 92%. And I think when I left the house, it was at like 95%. The next big reason why I love this thing, and granted, like you could say this for every single Kindle, I'm really only going to be speaking to the Oasis because obviously that's what I have, but it is the fact that I can lie down in literally any position that I want to while reading. Don't get me wrong, I still love like a physical book, But do you guys remember like when you were little kids and you wanted to like read in bed and there really was like no way to do that? Like you'd kind of have to still like halfway sit up, or if you wanted to like lay on your side, it was just like really not doable. With my Kindle, it is so easy to just lay in bed, and you can use this obviously like just with one hand, and it's super comfortable to do so. So I love that I can lay like on my side, on my back, on my stomach, and just like prop this up. And speaking of laying down in bed and reading, I also love that I can read in the dark with this thing, and it is so incredibly gentle on my eyes. This is gonna sound kind of silly, but I keep my Kindle like right on my like nightstand. It's not really my nightstand, it's like my windowsill that I treat as my nightstand. But I keep my Kindle right next to my bed so that as soon as I'm tired, I don't have to get up out of bed to put my Kindle away. I can just like set it down, take off my glasses, and just like go to bed. And because the screen on the Kindle Oasis is obviously like lit and there's tons of adjustable light settings, I don't have to read with the lights on, meaning I don't even have to get up out of bed to turn the lights on before I want to go to sleep. Turn the lights off, not on. Basically, I just love the fact that it makes it convenient to read anywhere. And if I'm reading late at night, like it's very rare that I'm up past my boyfriend, because usually Kevin's the one who goes to sleep the latest. But on those rare nights when he's the first one to go to bed, I don't have to feel guilty like to continue reading because I don't have to keep the lights on. So I feel like I'm not getting in the way of his sleep. Or like over the summer when I went on a trip with my mom and sister, I was able to keep reading after they went to bed and I didn't have to keep the lights on. And while we're at it, let's just continue talking about the screen of this thing because I have so much to say. First of all, going back to it being easy on the eyes, I love the screen size of the Kindle Oasis. To me, that is one of the best things about this, is the screen size. The screen size and the page turning buttons, which again makes it so easy to read like with one hand. You can also rotate the Kindle. So like if you're a lefty, all you have to do is rotate it and it will automatically adjust. Even if you're not a lefty, if you just want to switch hands for a while, which I think is amazing. It's also obviously like a touch screen. You can turn the pages with your fingers, but I love the buttons. To me, like it makes the world of a difference. The main reason that I originally bought the Kindle Oasis was for the larger screen and the buttons. I just feel like these are such a game changer. And yes, it's a little bit more in price, but to me it is so worth it, especially if you are a super heavy reader like I am. The screen size is big enough that typically I don't have to like go into the settings and adjust the font size of whatever I'm reading. But if I do, it's so easy to do so. There are so many different options and it just makes it such a pleasant reading experience. I like to read a lot of hefty, really thick, big books, which can typically mean super small font. And prior to having my Kindle, just because of my eyesight, it wasn't always the most pleasant experience. I would get a lot of eye strain after reading for a while, or it was just really frustrating for me. But now that I have my Kindle and I can like magnify things, it's just so enjoyable and I feel like I could read for hours and hours without having any sort of like eye strain. Okay, another love. I feel like I shouldn't say like here's another thing that I love, because obviously like you know that I'm gonna say that. That's the whole point of this video. But I just need a way to like signal to you that we're moving on to the next talking point. Anyway, another love for me. I talked about the fact that it's so easy to read like one-handed on this device, which is great on its own, but I specifically love the design of the Kindle Oasis because of this little like ridge right here. It's so comfortable in your hand. That combined with how lightweight this is, again, it just makes it so enjoyable. And this is gonna sound super weird, but I have very small hands. And so sometimes in the past when I've been reading like a physical copy of a book and I've wanted to just use one hand, I get like a hand cramp, which I know sounds so strange and embarrassing and like not that big of a problem, which it's really not. It's just kind of like a slightly annoying thing, but like with my Kindle Oasis, I don't have to worry about that at all. Another big thing for me, and a reason why I'm always super quick to recommend the Kindle Oasis over any other model, is because of the fact that even though you're getting like some new features and you're getting a bigger screen size and you're getting some additional like side space for those buttons, you don't have to sacrifice your Kindle still being so slim, so lightweight, and so portable. This thing is super thin. This is thinner than any like physical copy of any book that I would read, and it's really not that tall either. And because of that, This fits into the majority of my bags unless I'm using like a really small crossbody. It fits into my mini backpack. It fits into my Coach soft tabby bag. I can just throw this in. It doesn't take up that much space at all. And I just like having it with me because if I'm gonna be like commuting somewhere in the city or waiting somewhere, I really like reading rather than just like mindlessly scrolling on my phone. Just because I feel like it's something that's slightly more productive and I'm doing something to better myself and I'm like expanding my mind, and you know, just like reading is a lot better for you. And because I don't have to worry about like stuffing an actual physical book in my bag, it's just like so much easier to throw in and go because I know it's always usually gonna fit. I feel like I'm like jumping back and forth, but speaking of, we talked about the adjustable light on this a little earlier, but I do just want to say another reason that I love that feature is because I feel like this is one of the only devices with an adjustable light feature that actually adjusts to the level that I need it to be. Like, it's just always really good at knowing exactly the kind of light that I need at that moment, whether it be warm, cool, somewhere in the middle. Like for example, let's take my iPhone. I absolutely love my iPhone, but I always have the setting where it's like automatically adjust light. Like I always have that turned off. Because half the time my iPhone will adjust the light to something that makes it even harder for me to see my screen, which that's like a whole nother tangent on its own, is something that I find mildly annoying. But my Kindle, I love that I can actually keep it on like auto adjust, and it's always perfect for my eyes, the kind of light that I'm reading in, the time of day that I'm reading in. And I mean, for an e-reader that's like that up there in price point, it should do that, but I still just like knowing that it's very reliable. I don't know. I could go on and on about this thing. As you guys can tell, I'm kind of obsessed, but I don't want to make this video a million years long. So I will end it with one last thing, one of the best things about this device. The storage and the amount of books that you can hold on this thing is stupid crazy. When I first got my Kindle, the only thing that I was unsure of, like I knew I wanted the Oasis, I knew the case I wanted, the only thing I was unsure of is whether or not I needed the 8GB or the larger one, which I believe is either 16 or 32 gigabytes. Because like when you purchase something such as an iPhone or computer, any other sort of like technology, you always think like the more storage the better, right? But I remember the price difference was definitely like pretty up there, and I was talking to one of like the Amazon associates because I went to go purchase this like in an Amazon store, and the associate was like, don't worry, the 8GB is going to be fine for you, and if you find that like it really isn't, just come and exchange it. Now I will say I don't use this for audiobooks. I only use this for actual like digital copies of books. If you are a big audiobook listener, I would maybe recommend going with the larger storage option. However, if you're somebody like me who strictly sticks to just like an e-copy of a book, just the 8GB Kindle Oasis alone will store thousands of books at a time. And while it's nice to know that it can hold that much, I've obviously never even had thousands of books at a time on my Kindle. I think the most amount of books that I've had on it at once was like 10. But it's still nice to know that, you know, you could literally put basically as many books as you want on this device. And unlike, you know, buying that many amount of books in like a physical copy, your Kindle is never going to get any heavier. So for those who have been looking at a Kindle Oasis and thinking, you know, do I really need to spend the extra money for the extra storage? I personally really don't think so. And I mean, I guess even for somebody who's gonna use it primarily for audiobooks, as long as you're sticking to like one or two at a time, I feel like the 8GB Kindle would still be a really great option. But it's just super impressive all around. I feel like for an e-reader, this is like the most like savvy and luxurious that it gets. The reading experience on this, I feel like the word of the video has been enjoyable, but the reading experience on this is so enjoyable. I cannot recommend this enough. It is just like the perfect product. And I also just love that, like, regardless of what kind of Kindle you have or what kind you're gonna get, I just love that on an e-reader, literally all you can do is read. It makes it such a distraction-free zone. I love my nighttime reading routine because I'll put my phone away and just be on this for an hour, a few hours, and I don't have any other like notifications popping up. I don't have any other distractions. Like, this is literally just for reading and that's it. But there you guys have it. Those are my top reasons for why I love my Kindle Oasis. I really hope that you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know if you have a Kindle Oasis or if you're thinking of picking one up on Black Friday or as a holiday gift to yourself, or you're gifting one to somebody else. Maybe you're asking for one for the holidays or your birthday. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, definitely let me know if you guys would like more book content here on my channel. I'm thinking about starting to put a little bit onto my TikTok, but let me know, my YouTube fam, how you guys would feel about some videos here. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, and again, also click that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Follow me on all of my other social media networks. The links are always listed in the down bar below. I love you guys so much. I hope you all are staying safe, happy, and healthy, and I will talk to you guys again very, very soon in my next video. Okay? Bye, everybody.